Hi, my name is Richard Keller, and I'm going to demo Milestone 9 of the game Overclock. So there's a few things throughout the course of this project that I had to cut, and those have been talked about kind of milestone to milestone, but I had to cut a few things from this milestone in particular as well, and I'll talk about those in a minute. But first, let's go over, let's go over one of the things I didn't cut, which is the build bar. That after coming back in through some play testing, players always wanted to drag the units from the bottom here instead of tapping it, and either try to tap. And it's very similar to Plants vs Zombies. They wanted to drag it, and that's something I've been meaning to address, but honestly, at this stage it is a bit risky since there are so many things tied to it. So I ended up leaving it how it was. There's the way heroes are built, the way there's the screen space and having everything offset, needing to kind of adjust pretty major things on the screen. So I kind of left that how it was. One thing I did add, however, is this blocker, the commando, who is a blocker, but now also attacks. So when it collides with an enemy, it does a little damage, but its health is still really strong. Its primary use is meant to be a blocker, but you also get the benefit now that it attacks at the same time. So as you can see, it's not attacking enough. The enemy's health is going down on the top row, but it's certainly not attacking enough. So if I hit it once or twice here, yeah, you can see it already went yellow. So it's just a little bit at a time. It is significant, or it's helpful, but it's not significant, but it is helpful. Okay. Another thing I worked on was a bunch of audio, which you won't hear in this version of the recording because the audio doesn't come through if I have the microphone on. But a lot of those have been updated and moved around. Another thing is the might at the top. Let's go to the next level. So there used to be that kind of this silhouette of a person not moving. I added this might at the top right. You see above the enemy over there. And it now walks, kind of draws a little bit of attention to itself, but not too much because of the color, and the speed at which it moves is kind of slow. So I was pretty happy with how it turned out. Right now it's moving kind of slow because the timer for this level is a bit slower. But yes. So another thing I've added was, go to level 6 here, was the sprinters. So the yellow and blue sprinters that were in previous levels, their attack animation was basically a quick run animation. I didn't end up working on a boss battle for this game, so that's something I had to cut as well. So I was saving some of the other enemies to be bosses. I just decided, since I cut the boss battle, that I could use a little bit more variety and enemies with an actual attack animation. So as you can see, it will come up later in this level, hopefully not too late, that we have a few different ones. So there's one that is T-Rex looking thing, dinosaur, there he is. So that's the weaker of the two sprinters. And then the one on the top, perfect timing. One on the top is the tougher. So that one will require this overclock, while the one below won't. They're also signified, and their stats and everything remain the same in the codex here. So fast, regular, and doesn't resist anything. This armored sprinter resist regular bullets the same as the pink slime would. There's not really a big distinction here between the green and the pink. Hopefully, since it's a more red of a color, that will signify to the player they will understand it's a little bit tougher. So yes, there was also some talk about working on a scoring system. I'd like to have done that. I had issues trying to figure out how to make the score not relatively, you know, too similar every playthrough. So I think that would be something I try to work on uh, next month for just a little bit if I can squeeze that in. But for the most part, these are the core features that I'm going with, and that's that. Okay, so let's look at some code. So looking at the code here, I don't have much to show you because a lot of it was just cosmetic. A lot of the changes here were just cosmetic. We're moving some audio files around, or adding some new ones in, or switching out art assets. So there's not that much I can show you. However, this blocker script making the enemy attack is something pretty substantial. So a lot like the enemies, let's place this one here. A lot like the enemies, we have it checks for collisions. It kind of keeps track of how many enemies they're touching. That way it knows whether or not it should attack. If it kills one, it needs to keep attacking because there's another enemy colliding with it, since they all just kind of bunch up at the front there where the blocker is. It checks to see if it's dying or if the enemy is dying. Otherwise, it adds it to the list, and it does this attack where the animation is played, the sound is played, and the timers are kind of reset and counted down up here. So yeah, that's not much else I can show you other than the code. I know this is kind of a shorter video. I'm kind of happy with the way it is wound up, and yes, we'll see how much time I have for the scoring, which would be fun to put in, but that'll be next month. So thanks very much.